Let's see. Woo! You're a lifesaver, brother. Matter of fact, you get an extra Sicarii badge on your documented paperwork after this class. Let me share my screen again, and then boom. All right, let me know. Should I make it wider or is it already wide enough for your screen?
Con, it's good on my end.
Good on me.
Look good.
Yeah, it looks good on mine.
Okay, it ain't too small for you guys, right? I know some of y'all got glasses and retina damage.
That's perfect like that.
Okay, cool.
All right, that's too perfect.
All praises. All right, y'all, we're about to get started. Now, Gentiles in the New Testament, were they Israelites or heathens? All right, make sure you guys is taking notes. If you already know it, still take notes because we learn through repetition. Who knows what the word Deuteronomy means? Anybody, quickly. Just unmute your mic and say it.
Second law.
To do it again.
Second law. We learned, God already knew we the Israelites are some hard-headed ass niggas and we need repetition to learn, which is why Deuteronomy is called second law. It's just reiterating everything from Leviticus, right? So take notes, even if you might know some of these precepts, because that's how we learn and that's how it gets rooted and grounded into you. All right?
Can we do snapshots?
Say what?
Can we do snapshots?
If you want to, that's fine.
Okay, I'm gonna need the time to review it later.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Well, if you want to review it later, I could just send you this whole recording. That might be easier, but it's up to you, brother.
Okay.
All right. So, stay muted now because I don't want to be interrupted, but stay muted until I call you guys to come off. If I want to put somebody on the spot, let's try to get through as much of this as we can. All right. So, where does it all start at? Where does it all start at? This is how you kill a Christian apologist. This is how I go in for the kill. There is nothing new under the sun. So if you got Gentiles in the New Testament, then you will see Gentiles in the Old Testament, except for the word Gentile is not colloquially or commonly used in the Old Testament. Rather, it's stranger. So the Old Testament equivalent to the New Testament word Gentile would be stranger. Very few times rather, will you see the word Gentile in the Old Testament. Again, it's just the stranger. You'll see the word stranger, right? So to fully understand the concept of Gentiles, we have to go back to the Old Testament. Strangers are the same as Gentiles. Were the Israelites called strangers in the Old Testament? Let's examine the text. Because if we can see Israelites being called strangers, which is the Gentile equivalent in the Old Testament, then how can we rule out that we are still not being called Gentiles in the New Testament? Now, you know what's funny? This is a trick back. This is a debate question that I asked, and that you guys should ask a Christian. You guys can be spiritual Israelites. You guys can be spiritual Israelites. You say, I am an Israelite in spirit. But the Israelites can't be called Gentile nations. That's hypocrisy, oxymoronic, and there's another word I'm looking for, a double standard. You guys get to be called Israelites because you're grafted in, but we're grafted into these nations and we're not called by the names of these nations? That's a trick bag question, right? Next slide. Leviticus 25 and 35. Here's an example of an Israelite being called what would be the equivalent to a Gentile, a stranger. Leviticus 25 and 35. And if thy brother, subject matter is a brother to the Israelite, our neighbor, our kindred, be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Meaning, if you got an Israelite who is broke, dusted, and disgusted, and he lives with you, or in close proximity to you, excuse me, you need to help him. Watch this. Yea, though he be a stranger or sojourner. Now, we'll get to this in a second. The Gentile word that's mostly used in the New Testament, the Greek word is ethnos. So the equivalent to ethnos in the Old Testament would be gar or ger, Strong's H 1616. In the ancient Paleo Hebrew, it would be gawayim. That's where I got my name from. Haka, which means to smite, gawayim, which means heathens, which is why everybody says, Deacon, why are you always destroying the heathens and focus more on our people, which I do focus on our people, but that's been my spirit for 15 years, is to smite heathens. You understand? So here is one example of an Israelite being called the Hebrew equivalent to Gentile, which is stranger or gar, a foreigner, alien, sojourner, stranger. That's the Hebrew lexicon, right? That's one example. It's clear. You can't get around it. I remember when Captain Tazama, I remember when Vocab Malone showed up with Adam Coleman and Adam Coleman, what do you mean? David Wood, Sam Shimon, when they showed up to San Diego, right? Their little apologist team, street apologists, urban apologists, like we need the white man to come help us out in the urban city, drop everything, Craig's in trouble, come quick. So when they came up and Captain used this verse right here, this is an apologetic verse, a Hebrew apologetic verse for that matter. Captain's like, were the Israelites ever called strangers in the Bible? Adam Coleman says no. Captain Tazama presents this verse, and you know, Christians, even if they see God saying it, they're so far gone and removed and indoctrinated that they still won't believe it. Captain literally read it, showed the Hebrew, and the nigga still said, oh no, I don't believe that. But it's clear, he is our brother, a fellow Israelite, though he be a stranger, a gar, a ger, the Old Testament equivalent to Gentile. Let's keep going. If you got questions, you better be writing them down for that time, for the Q&A portion. Deuteronomy 28 and 43. Here's the same word that we just seen in reference to an Israelite, but here it is to an actual heathen. So when we got I want you guys to always remember this. Context supersedes etymology. This is a very important theological terminology. Context supersedes etymology. What do I mean? Don't get caught up on one word. It's about the context in which the word is being placed. All right? Because we have the same word here and the same word here. So how do we decipher when it's a heathen or an Israelite? By context. This context, he says, it's our brother. This context, it says this same word for stranger, Deuteronomy 28 and 43, the stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. These are the curses being put on Israelites, talking about how non-Israelites will oppress them and enslave them and become very high above them. This isn't talking about, well, yes, some Israelites are going to be high, some Israelite foreigners, some Israelite strangers are going to be high, and then some Israelites who are not strangers are going to be very low. That's stupid. That don't even make sense. He's given a judgment to all of Israel right here, whether you're Israelite stranger or not. So we can clearly see in this text that this same word is talking about actual heathens. I want to open it up just for a few people. Am I going too fast, or are you guys okay with this pace?
Nah,
Good with the
not
paper.
going
You
too
good?
fast
You
for
good,
me.
D?
I'm
I
good.
think you're doing pretty good. You're doing great.
All praises. All right. So just a quick recap. We got the same word here. That's an Israelite. You can tell by the context. And the same word here is a Gentile, an actual heathen. You can tell by the context. So when you show a Christian this and you say, both of these same words in the Hebrew and the English are being used in reference to Israelites and non-Israelites. It's the same way in the New Testament, which you guys are going to see when we get there. Let's keep going. Leviticus 25 and 35 again. And if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him, yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner. Watch this, everybody. The next verse. Take thou no usury of him. Take thou no usury of him. So it's saying, this stranger, you can't commit usury on. But when we go to Deuteronomy 23 and 20, it says, unto a stranger, thou mayest lend upon usury. Is this a contradiction? Is God double-minded? Or are these two different strangers? Oh, I love when I present this to a Christian. They be a head just rolling down the street. They don't even know it. Head still smiling and talking while it's all the way down the block. This is probably one of the best examples to prove that just like there's two types of strangers in the Old Testament, there's two types of Gentiles in the New Testament, one being Israelites, one being heathens. One you can commit usury on, one you can't. It's not a contradiction. Very important to understand that, my brothers and sisters. Next one. How did we become? Well, we became strangers by being away from Israel. We became strangers by following other nations. I want you guys to be clear with that. This is history, and I'm gonna show you. So there's two types of strangers. I didn't even have this prepared. I'm just going in the spirit right now. You guys need to hear this. Just like there's two types of strangers, the Gentiles, the actual heathens, and the Israelite foreigners. And there's two types of Israelite strangers. Let me explain that. One Israelite stranger, he lives among the heathens, but he's still following the law, statutes, and commandments. We still looked at that nigga as a stranger. We were so biased and wicked back then. If you didn't live even if you didn't live in Jerusalem, it was like, nigga, you're an op. That's how horrible we were as a people. So you got Israelites being called strangers who are keeping the laws probably better than some of those in Jerusalem, but they were still looked at as strangers. Then you got Israelite strangers who had totally lost their identity, may not know they're Israel, and wearing damn Greek Trojan hats and all manner of wickedness following the heathen, right? So even within the Israelite strangers, there's sects of that, right? Just wanted to make that known. Now, the way we started becoming strangers and Gentiles on a massive level was right here. A massive forced coercion during the Greek dynasty. Now, we didn't just say, oh, the Greeks, they're so great. They were homosexuals. And the Greeks will fight you because if you tell them the truth, Alexander, he was a pedophile and he died from those diseases from what the Greeks would do to them little boys. And so Greeks are offended at that. It's just true. When the white man first rose into power, the Bible says, evil multiplied in the earth. You understand? Evils were multiplied in the earth when the white man first rose. And the greatest first white man that rise to power was a pedophile and who died of that STD. You understand? So, but the reason why we started being called Gentiles and strangers on a broad scale was due to the massive forced coercion during the Greek dynasty. We as Israelites said we would rather eat pork than to speak Greek. That's how much we didn't like the Greeks. So we're being called Greeks and we're being called Hellenistes. We're going to get into that. The Hellenes, the Grecians, right? Because they forced us to convert to their culture and traditions, not because they were just dope at anything or they were good people. It was a forced coercion. And that was the beginning of the massive influx of us being called strangers and Gentiles. During the time of the Maccabees, we see this happening, right? Next slide. This was called forced Hellenization. Forced Hellenization. Helen, let's see who knows this. What is the, how do you say the word Greek in the Greek language? Who knows that? Because Greek is an English word. How do you say the word Greek in the Greek language? Anybody can come off mic.
Hellenis?
Greco?
No.
Hellenis?
Helen. So you're close. So the word Helen is actually the Greek word for Greek. You see how confused and convoluted the white man is with his language? We're sitting up here saying Greek, which yes, it's an English word, but now let's go a little deeper though. This is for extra credit. So the way you say Greek in English, no, the way you say Greek in Greek is Helen. It's translated into English as Greek. But how do you say Helen or Greek in Hebrew?
Hellenista?
No. Javan. Javan. Javan is how you say Helen or Greek in the Hebrew. So when you see that word Javan in the Hebrew, it's talking about the Greeks, the Hellenes. Just some extra credit for y'all. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. This was called forced Hellenization. Forced Hellenization. Hellenization or Hellenism is the adoption of Greek culture, religion, language, and identity by non-Greeks. This is why when you look in the New Testament, I hope I pulled that up. If not, I'll pull it up on the side. When you go into the New Testament, when it's calling us Grecians, it's the word Hellenistes. Except for we didn't adopt it. So Hellenization by itself, yeah, you just adopt the Greek culture. That's where you live. But this was a forced Hellenization. We didn't want to just, then after so much forced coercions, we were like, yeah, that's why the Maccabees, I think I got it on the slide. That's why in the book of Maccabees, it says, we envied the Grecians. After getting your ass beat for so long, and you think it's now the norm to practice Greek culture, now it's like, yeah, bro, everything else is corny. This is where it's at. But it wasn't just us adopting it at the first, it was us being forced, all right? Let's keep going. Second Maccabees 6:6. And all we're doing right here, so we just wanted to prove that there's two types of Gentiles, strangers, same word in the Old Testament, one Israelite, one non-Israelite. Now we're on the portion where we're showing you guys why so much of us were being called Gentiles and strangers during the New Testament, because right prior to that, you had the forced Hellenization. So this is a part of biblical history, but I'll give you guys the date. The date of the forced coercion of us being Hellenized and being called Gentiles on a massive level was about 100 and let's just say 200 BC. 200 BC before Christ came. 200 BC before Christ came, right? That was roughly the time of the Maccabees, right? All the way to like 160, 150 maybe. That time period was our forced Hellenization. And we kept that all the way up to the time of Paul and the time of Acts, right? So many of us were being identified as Gentiles and Grecians, okay? So 2 Maccabees 6:6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. So this is why I said it wasn't an adoption. It was a forced coercion, because it says it wasn't even lawful for you to keep your Sabbath day. It wasn't lawful for you to keep the feast, and it wasn't lawful for you to call yourself a Jew, or you will be put to death. So if we couldn't call ourselves a Jew, what were we calling ourselves? Grecians, Greeks, Gentiles, Egyptians, heathens, strangers. You had to call yourself something, but you couldn't call yourself a Jew. This was the beginning of the massive influx of us being Israelite foreigners, strangers, Gentiles. Let's continue. 1 Maccabees 12:21. 1 Maccabees 12:21. It is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians, remember that word, the Lacedaemonians and the Jews are brethren, and they are of the stock of Abraham. So I wanted to ask a trick bag question to Vocab Malone one time. And I wanted to ask him, were the Israelites ever called by another nation? So that's, if for those of you who plan on debating or just witnessing and evangelizing, you want to ask the question, have the Israelites ever been called after another nation? Because Vocab Malone put that challenge out, and he said the Israelites were never called after the name of another nation, even though in Isaiah 1 it calls us Sodom. In the book of Susanna in the Apocrypha, it calls us the seed of Canaan, because we're being wicked like them Hamites. But right here, it's literally calling us Greeks. Lacedaemonia is the word for Sparta. Sparta is a Greek province. So this scripture is literally calling Israelites Greeks. Let's read it again. 1 Maccabees 12:21. It is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians and Jews are brethren, and they are both of the stock of Abraham. There's no way around that. These Spartans who were, and some of you guys, if you want to bring smoke during the Q&A, I'll turn this into a We Want Smoke session every Q&A if you guys want to. But certain Israelites, they teach that we were the 300 Spartans. We were not them faggots. You understand? That was 300 niggas who was having sex with each other. Them Spartans, King Leonidas and all of that. How do I know that, Deacon? How do we know that? Because the 300s was a different time period than when we were being called the Lacedaemonians during the Maccabean period. The 300 went to war with the Persians during 400 BC. You've seen the movie. The 300, the Greeks, they went to war with the Persians around 400 BC. We didn't get in there until Alexander came and conquered us. Well, he didn't even conquer us because we knew the Bible that he was coming. We literally showed him in the Bible. We said, we got to open the gate to you because the Bible said you was finna come and conquer us. He's like, wow. So he didn't conquer us or destroy us. But when he died, his 4 generals came against us. So we didn't start getting really smashed on and subjugated by the Greeks until about 200 years after the Persians and the 300 even fought each other. Somebody got their hands up. It better be good. Go ahead.
Salaki, I wanted to add, because you said the forced Hellenization started around 200 BC. And you use Second Maccabees 6:6, but is it safe to say that willful Hellenization began before that?
Yes,
We
yes,
see
sir.
in First Maccabees. All right.
Yeah. So that's what I said. I said well, I'll say both. Some of us were radical. You can go back on mute and then I'll have you come back on. Some of us were radical. Some of us were like, no, hell no, you're gonna have to kill me. I'm not following no Greeks. Some of us were such cowards that we did adopt the culture, right? Now, after being forced for so many years, then it became the norm. You understand what I'm saying? Whoever that brother was, you can come back. I want to make sure we're clear on that.
Con, yeah, I got that.
Okay, cool. All right, brother. So there's an Israelite who, is there somebody named Samaje Truth in here? Samaje Truth. If you're in here, come off the mic. Boy, I tell you, man, some of y'all, man, I'm about to give, very few of y'all know how to follow. Most of you guys know how to follow instructions. And I'm not saying that like I'm the big deacon and y'all are the little homies. It's just, we're trying to run a curriculum here, and Negroes and she-grows, call them sisters. This one called it sisters. She-grows and Negroes, right? Just don't know how to read. Very simple reading comprehension is neat. That's what I should have said. The qualifications for the Sicarii Varsity is 5th grade reading level, at least. I'm sorry, but I take the time to put this together and send out links one by one. Read it. Let's keep going. So First Maccabees 12 and 21. It is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians and Jews are brother and heir, both of the stock of Abraham, proving that Lacedaemonia, what does it mean? Of or relating to ancient Sparta, which is a heathen Gentile Japhetic people. Lacedaemonia, of or relating to ancient Sparta, which is a heathen Gentile Japhetic location and people. Clear example of Israelites, in fact, not just being called stranger or Gentile, but being called of another nation in which that is a stranger or a Gentile. Everybody got that? All praises. Wait, what was that? That was weird. Okay. Second Maccabees 4 and 9. Second Maccabees 4 and 9. This is a good one too. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise. That's where you get the word gym from. Now, it's not wrong to go to the gym, but it would have been wrong to go to this gym because them Greeks was in there butt naked doing squats. That's Esau. You understand? So it says, and for the training up of the youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians. What does this latter clause mean? And to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians, meaning Antiochus Epiphanes, he said we have to address ourselves as Antiochians. This is what white people do. This is why you got Amerigo Vespucci, the so-called Italian, the so-called founder of America, the Italian explorer, who was the first one to come to the realization that North America and South America connected continentally. So he's Amerigo Vespucci. And now we are calling ourselves Americans after this man who we don't descend from. You understand that? That's a white ideology. Just like their wicked forefathers, the Grecians, the real Greeks, well, not even the real Greeks, but the Greeks during this time, these Edomites, they wanted us to call ourselves Antiochians. They made us call ourselves after a man that we did not descend from. Antiochus is not a geographical location. Antiochus is a man, and we had to call ourselves Antiochians, just like today we call ourselves Americans, which would be a Gentile terminology or a Gentile name. All right, y'all, we're at the 15-minute break. Let's have a 15-minute break. I'll see you guys back then. Stay muted, please. Stay muted. All right, mic check, mic check. We good, we good. All praises. Camera good, all praises, y'all. It's so beautiful to see y'all. Look at all these Jacobs, man. All these Jacobs. I just love you guys, man. It's just so beautiful to see you guys. What somebody call me? It's like I'm playing. Let's see. Let me share my screen here and let's keep going. Let's keep going again. Any questions, make sure you write them down. Any questions, make sure you write them down. Share screen again. Boom. All right. All praises. All right. All praise to the Most High again. We're going to continue by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. We do so by Shema Mashiach Yahushai. We are still on Sicarii, Varsity, Class 1, Gentiles of the New Testament. All right, so we ended on 2 Maccabees 4:9. I'll read it again, just for linear logic and structure's sake. 2 Maccabees 4:9. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise, and for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of the Antiochians. Here's us being called by a Gentile man. We're being called by the name of a Gentile man. Very important to point this out. Now, apologetics, I want you guys to understand this, because I know you guys are I know some of you guys are drooling and itching and scratching and crawling to call your ex-pastor or your homeboy or your sister, and to cut them up. That's fine. But apologetics can also be used to witness and evangelize too. It's like a screwdriver. A screwdriver can be used. Apologetics is like a screwdriver. The screwdriver can be used to fix a table, and a screwdriver can be used to kill a nigga. Me, I use apologetics more so to kill people spiritually, but we use it to fix people as well. So you gotta know when and how to use your apologetic skills. All right. So let's keep going. 2 Maccabees 4:15. The reason why we are all in the Maccabees right now, and there's going to be a few more slides on the Mac. I think that might be the last one. It might not, because that was the time of the massive forced coercion or the massive adoption, like the brother brought out yesterday. You could say either or. You could say some was adoption, some was forced coercion. But what we see in the text, we do see a willingness to fashion ourselves after the Greeks. But we see a lot, the emphasis on, it wasn't lawful. He forced them to call themselves Greeks. He didn't let them keep their Sabbath. He didn't let them circumcise themselves. We see too much of that to ignore that by and large, and for the most part, that it was a forced coercion. 2 Maccabees 4:15. Here goes the adoption part of it, because the brother brought that up earlier about the adoption part of the definition of Hellenization. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all. Now, here's a case where we're like, man, it's horrible, and it almost makes me sick to my stomach that you guys got a chance to be in Israel, see the works of God, see him do things, and still say calling yourself a Greek is better than being a Hebrew Israelite. And now here we are today in 2022, and we think, and we know, and we say that being an Israelite is the best news that our people could use. So it really just boggles my mind and makes me sick to my stomach that we had sellout niggas like this who was in the land while the temple was standing and still said, I like the Grecians better than being an Israelite. That's madness. So this is the version of us adopting the ways of the heathen and wanting to be called Gentiles, wanting to be called strangers, wanting to live like them, wanting to act like them, wanting to practice their traditions and culture, wanting to speak their language. Let's continue. Now let's examine Israelites being called Gentiles in the New Testament. You know, I really want to see, I was thinking about this too during the break. Some of you guys are only taking this class, these courses, so you can see where you are placed at, and that's fine. You may see, I want to see if I know the precepts that Deacon's going to bring out. I might already have them. You might say, I might already have some historical sources that Deacon's going to bring out. Let me see where I am. Let me see what my placement level is in Hebrew apologetics. And that's fine. That's actually wise to do that, because that may give you the confidence to be like, man, I knew Deacon was going to go there, already had that. And that will give you the confidence to know that you're ready to get out here and do your thing. You understand? And there's some of you that might not have any of these precepts. There's some of you who might have a few of them. There's some of you that might have all of them. And you just needed this confirmation. You needed this affirmation, right? So let's get into what you guys, you Hebrew apologists in training, you guys are gonna more so be trying to prove your points with the New Testament, because Christians have said F the Old Testament. That's just how they feel. They won't say it, but that's just how they feel. Show me in the New Testament. Well, show me, and then they're gonna say, show me in Paul's writing. We gotta literally fight these guys with both of our, just all headbutts. And they gotta fight a Christian. You can't use your arms. Okay, can I use my legs? No. Can I do high knees, high knee kicks? No. You gotta just use headbutts with Christians now, because they don't want us to go to the foundation of the Bible, even though Christ said what? Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of the Father. So if you were to take a highlighter, right? If one of you guys have a Bible that's just, you know, you might love it, it might be near and dear to you, but it's falling apart. The damn, what is this called? The spine of it is off. There's duct tape on it, and you're ready to get a new Bible. Just take a highlighter. I want to show you guys something, and then I want you to take pictures of it and send it to me, or just tell me how much you blotted out. If you take a black Sharpie and on your old Bible that you're about to get rid of, right, and you just cross out every Old Testament quotation, there will literally only be like 30% of the New Testament. Probably about 70% of the New Testament is Old Testament quotations, but they say, don't go there. Nigga, you should have said that to Paul and Peter and James and Christ himself. You understand? So, but unfortunately, y'all, now you could say, nah, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. I'm gonna go to the Old Testament too, which is fine, because we can't let them just bully us around like that. But we could prove our point with the New Testament alone. We could, and we're gonna show you today. And really, you can prove your point with Paul's letters alone, that the Gentiles who are receiving salvation in the New Testament are Israelites. It's a beautiful thing. This is why I say, it's not about how good the deacon is. It's not about how good you guys are. We're all, if you think you're something, you're not. If you think you're something, you are nothing. You are expendable. I am expendable. We are all expendable. Don't ever think you're something in this thing. So when I say we're gonna win, it's not because we're good, it's because the truth is the truth, which is why we can say we won't go to anywhere in the Bible and just stick to Paul's letters and still prove that the Gentiles are Israelites, right? So let's examine Israelites being called Gentiles in the New Testament. Very important part of this particular course, which is the Gentiles. The English word for Gentile comes from the Latin word gentilis. The English word for Gentile comes from the Latin word gentilis. Right? Why is that important? Next slide. See online etymology. Now I got it. Lord and Christ, I should have put that. I should have put that in there. Let me see if you guys can you guys see my screen right now? Because I'm gonna have to go to online etymology. Can y'all see my online etymology?
No,
Lord in Christ. Okay, so let me stop sharing and let me share the whole screen. Okay, there we go. Boom. We good?
come.
All right. I need to pick out like 3 of y'all. I need to pick out like 3 to 5 of y'all who will have the task to let me know if my screen sharing is good or not. So here we go. Online etymology. Why is this such a great site? Etymology, what does that mean? The study of words, the origins, how they morphed, morphology and lexicology. What is more? I'm always into giving side information as well. If you want to say, Deacon, shut the hell up and just keep doing Gentiles, it's going to be hard for me, but I'll do it for y'all. But lexicology is how definitions of words can change. Morphology is how the spelling of a word can change. You'll find that all here on online etymology. So it's very important that you guys put certain words in here and dig into it. You'll get a better understanding. So I put the word Gentile in online etymology, and it says one who is not a Jew. Well, that's great because there's 11 of the tribes that are not Jews. Now we know in the truest sense of it, only one tribe is a Jew, but we know it was colloquially used as a blanket term for the Southern Kingdom. And maybe once or twice, I'm not gonna lie, I'll tell a Christian this too, maybe 3 times, once or twice, maybe the word Jew is in reference to all of Israel. And if you guys want me to show you that, that's fine. But in the technical sense, it's only the tribe of Judah. Or Christians will agree the Southern Kingdom, but that's fine. So when you look this word up in the Greek, it says the same thing too. One who is not a Jew. Well, you can argue and say, which is why some brothers take the argument that, oh, he's talking to the Northern Kingdom. One could argue that, but that is a slippery slope. We can't say only exclusively the Northern Kingdom. That's where you might get squeezed out. I've seen some good brothers bleed out by doing that, with all due respect. So you could make that argument though, is that, see, some of these Gentiles, not all of them, some of them are a remnant of the Northern Kingdom because they're not Jews. So if they say, well, Deacon, show me where there's a differentiation of the tribes being called Jews, they're all Jews. So we'll go to one place real quick. We'll go to one place because they may ask y'all that. They may ask y'all that. John 1. John 1. I could go to the Apocrypha, but then you're going to have to fight them about the Apocrypha. So let's go here real quick. John 1 and 19. Look at this. So it says, and this is the record of John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, who art thou? So here's a differentiation from a Jew and a Levite. It's clearly telling you that Judah is the Jews here, then the Levites. So this is an example where you can prove to a Christian that all tribes are not Jews, technically. All right, that's just one example. You can use it. They can't argue against that. Right, so going back here to the Gentile, 1400s, earlier, one who is not a Christian, a pagan, from Latin, gentilis, excuse me, of the same family or clan, of or belonging to a Roman gens or genes. race, clan, give birth, beget. So it just means the same kindred or the same race or the same clan. That's what the word Gentile means etymologically. So when we, the Israelites, live among these other nations, we become assimilated or amalgamated, if you will. I hate saying that word. I'm probably saying it wrong, but we become absorbed, and it's like we are one of them. So you become diffused with that race or that clan. You become a gentilis. You got niggas that will kill you trust me. You know how many guns, hammers, and knives and baseball bats been pulled out on us on the highways and byways because you tell a nigga he's an Israelite? He doesn't want to be Israelite. He wants to be American. He wants to be an Edomite is what he wants to be, right? Let's go, let's stop that. And let's go back here. Okay. Back here. Next slide. The word used for Gentile, most of the time, not every time, but most of the time in the Greek New Testament is ethnos. Strong's G 1484. I'm gonna tell you why this is so important. The word used for Gentile in the Greek New Testament, majority of the time, is ethnos. Strong's G 1484. I know I told you guys we wasn't gonna get any books. I know I told you, but I might have lied. Salakia, forgive me. I didn't think that far ahead yet. You may not need to get any books, but I'm not gonna say you guys need to get the books that I'm gonna be talking about. But if you want to get them for your further studies, then you should get them and have them. So as we go, watch this. Can you guys see me or no?
Con.
Uh,
Let me stop sharing this real quick. This right here is the Lytle and Scott. Lytle and Scott. Who knows what this is? Which one of you scholars, which one of you up and coming scholars out there knows what this is?
A lexicon?
Oh, he read the cover. See, now that's a brother who has reading comprehension. This is the Lytle and Scott. Can you tell, brother who answered this, brother who answered that question, what is a lexicon? Tell the people what a lexicon is.
Lexicon is like you can go in and when you need to research words, the meaning of the words, basically.
The Greek or Hebrew. Lexicon is about ancient languages or other languages. That's what it's focused on. Why do I have this? Because Israelites, they go to the blueletterbible.com and they look up the Greek words. That's fine. That James Strong lexicon is inferior to the world of scholarship and academia. I'm just being real with you. I use it sometimes, but when I'm really trying to go in and figure out what that word means in the Greek, it's either this right here or the Briggs, which is the Bowers, but this is good. I would suggest the Briggs lexicon, or it's also called the Bowers lexicon. You guys can write that down, or the Lytle and Scott. The reason why I say the Briggs is better than this is because this doesn't have any numbers. You know, in the lexicon, it got Strong's G 1414, Strong's G 1684. I promise you, y'all going, this right here is very extensive. It's what you call in the world of academia a huge learning curve. What do I mean? You gotta, because there's no numbers or references, you have to literally highlight, maybe make a title at each page, and then you could actually go into what the words really mean in Greek. James Strong's Blue Letter is good, but this goes deep off into what these Greek words mean. It's a good tool for your Hebrew apologetics and your hermeneutics. Yeah, the Brown Driver Briggs, that's better than this, but the Lytle and Scott will work as well. Now, the Brown Drivers Briggs, it gives you what the words mean in the Apocrypha. This one don't have that. So let's keep going. All right. So the word for Gentile most of the time in the Greek is going to be Strong's G 1484, which means ethnos. What does it mean? Gentiles, nations, heathen people. Why do we even care? Because I'll give you guys an example. Minister Michael Holloway, you guys know that nigga, the one who says, oh, that prophecy is already not yet, right? He told me it was a challenge during a live discussion. We done had 5 or 6 run-ins with him. He said, nowhere in the Bible will you see Israelites being called by this word ethnos, which means Gentile in English, Strong's G 1484. This is what he said, y'all. So I took him to Luke chapter 7, verse 5, dealing with the Roman centurion. And look what we said here. For he, this Roman centurion, loveth our ethnos. This is the word for nation. He loveth our nation, and he hath built us up a synagogue. The word for nation here is none other than ethnos, which Christians try to say is never in reference to Jews or Israelites. So here you literally have game set, game over. You literally have Israelites being called Gentiles. This is why you have to learn how to rightly divide the word of God, know when it's talking about heathens and when it's talking about Israelites. Very important. Next slide. John 7:35. All of y'all should know this. All of y'all should know this. John 7:35. This is one verse where you can see both heathens being called Gentiles, actual non-Israelites, and then Israelites being called Gentiles in one verse. I don't think I've seen a Christian deal with this verse head on. If they have, I just don't remember, because it was probably a horrible rebuttal. But I haven't seen them just deal with this head on. So it's my job to tell you what they might say, how they might try to break it down. That's what this class is all about. I have to play the Christian, which is sick. But John 7:35, then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go? Where will he go that we shall not find him? Because he was saying, I'm finna go somewhere where you niggas can't. I remember my dad used to say that. Before my dad died, he used to say, I'm finna be so far away from these niggas, they gonna have to pray to try to reach me, right? And that's what Yahweh Shai was saying. He was saying, man, I'm finna get so far away from these wicked Pharisees and these hard-headed Israelites. I'm going somewhere you can't go. He was talking about going up to the spirit world. So they're like, where is he saying he's gonna go that we can't go? So they're asking the question amongst themselves. And they say, will he go unto the dispersed? This is the Greek word. Who knows what this Greek word dispersed means? Quickly, somebody come off mic and tell me.
Diaspora.
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 Damn, boy, I'm proud of you guys. Who taught y'all that?
Sicarii.
Yeah, you did.
All praises. All praises. So this is the Greek word diaspora or diaspora. We have to do this real quick because that's very serious too. Let me just pull that up. Let me pull that up real quick so you guys can see. While we're on online etymology still, diaspora. Diaspora. Watch this, y'all. 1825 in reference to the Protestant, in reference to the, here we go. In reference to the dispersion of the Jews. This word diaspora, every etymologist would agree with me. Every linguistic would agree with me that the word diaspora was only created to apply to Jewish exiles. The word for diaspora was solely created to apply to Israelites in exile. That's why the Greeks made that word up for us. So when we go back here, let me pull this back up. And we see this word being used in the Greek, diaspora, for dispersed. Will he go to the Israelite exiles among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? So he's going to the dispersed, and it says he's going amongst the Gentiles. He's going amongst the heathens to teach the dispersed, but it's calling them Gentiles as well. How a Christian gets out of this, like I said, I have never heard them deal with this directly, head on. I haven't, and if they have, it was so weak, I'm almost for sure you guys will take some heads off with this. But again, every time it's not about taking heads off. A lot of times it is about witnessing and evangelizing and getting our people to understand. But you're going to take some heads off with this. So he's going to the dispersed Israelites who are among the Gentiles to teach them, the dispersed. This dispersed right here is in correspondent to the Gentiles and vice versa. You understand? We learned this scripture 14 years ago, and I'll tell you what, it's bread and butter. Yashar has his hand raised. If you can make it quick, go ahead.
So another way to, like, if I was trying to teach this to somebody, I can read it. He going to the dispersed amongst the heathen to teach the Israelites.
Khan.
Got you.
All praises. All right. Next slide. We got about 2 more minutes until the last 30 minutes of our class, which would be the Q&A portion. I don't think we're gonna have time for the whole breakdown of Acts chapter 15. So what we'll do is we'll continue there. Now I'm gonna do this 2 ways, y'all. On Monday, I'll either continue on this, or on Monday, we're going to start another topic. I'm not sure yet, but you're gonna get your 2 topics per month, of course, like I promised. It may be, let's get this out the way, then do another topic, or it may be 1 topic on Thursday, another topic on Monday. I'm not sure yet. I'll know that by about Sunday night, Lord's will. So when we pick up on this Gentile course, I want to just prep you guys so you can study Acts 15 yourself. I may ask you some questions on it. In Acts chapter 15, the Gentile, Paul and Barnabas are like, should the Gentiles get circumcised? So Christians go there to see, these are non-Israelites because they didn't have to circumcise themselves, and they only had to do no food to idols, no drinking blood, and no fornication. That's all the Gentiles have to do. So that's a Christian's argument. So I want to see, I know some of you guys may have watched my video on this, some of you may have not, but there's a way that we can prove that these Gentiles in Acts 15 are in fact Israelites. And when we pick back up on this course right here, I may ask you guys, how do you prove that the Gentiles in Acts 15 are Israelites before I commence to give the understanding? So at this point, we have reached our Q&A portion. If you had questions, let's do the questions as it pertains to this topic first. Then, if you have questions outside of this topic, I'll take them if we got time. So somebody made a complaint, not necessarily a complaint, but they said, Deacon, you should call out the people who are raising their hands. There's one problem with that. I can't, for some reason, on my display, I can't see everyone's hand. So you guys if you guys can see it, just be mindful of each other and come off mic and try to do it in order, okay? So whoever had their hand raised first, go ahead and come off mic.
Shalom. Okay, so seeing what you did with Leviticus 25 and Deuteronomy 28 and 43. So looking at that word gar, if you look at Exodus 12 and 43 and 48, looking at 43, how it's Nakar, will you ever see Nakar being referred to, dispersed Israelites, or would it be specifically the heathens?
Yeah, you're a good man. You're a good man, because later in my slides, I go into the word Nakar, right? So let me show you this real quick, brother. Let me show you this real quick. Great question. Okay, so you said Exodus 12 and 43, right? Is that what you said?
43 and 48.
Okay, so in 48 is not Nakar.
Yeah, it's Gar.
Right. So the word Nakar, I want to show you guys this, because that's a powerful question. And when we finish our course on Gentiles, you'll understand why. This is powerful. So this word Nakar, when it says no stranger can eat of the Passover, this is how we know this is talking about a non-Israelite, because later in verse 48, it says a stranger can eat. But like the brother brought out, there's two different words in the Hebrew. That is the problem where a lot of people get misconstrued at. Nakar is never in reference to an Israelite. I'm gonna say that again. The word in Hebrew for Nakar, Strong's H 52 and 36, is never in reference to an Israelite. That is solely and emphatically and absolutely for non-Israelites. Ger, which we brought out, that is in reference to actual heathens, non-Israelites, and Israelites, right? So when we move to the latter portion of the Gentiles, you guys are going to see how we go into the word Nakar, and it's good. All praises. I hope that answered your question. Is that all you had?
That's it, the water.
Okay, come. Next person, if y'all could go in order. I'm sure you guys are grown-ups, big boys and big girls. Come off, Mike.
Salakia.
ahead.
Shalom, Deacon.
Shalom.
So when you were talking about the Laodiceans, is there any archaeological evidence proving that Jews were among them besides the verse in the Maccabees?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Let's just think of it. For time's sake, here's what I'll do. For time's sake, I'll tell you this. You can find sources You can find sources, you can find ancient sources corroborating the Maccabees that we were there. All you got to do is just look up Lacedaemonians, Jews, and Sparta. As far as archaeology, you may have to, I don't have anything off the top of the head, but I'm 99.9% sure we were there and we're still there to this day, probably because we're everywhere. And some of the oldest synagogues that we have is in Egypt and the Greek provinces, right? So just search Lacedaemonian Jews in Sparta. You'll see other sources that corroborate the Maccabees, and you may even find some archaeology as far as the coins that we had. You will find the Hasmonean coins. That just proves we were over there. But just research that and let me know what you find when you do. You can hit me personally.
Con, the water.
Con. Next person, come off mic.
All right, so I had a question about, since we're on the topic of Gentiles, would it be good to bring out for, like, say for Galatians 3:28, would it be smart to go to the book of Philemon to show that he was like a Greek convert?
I don't want to spoil the lesson. Galatians 3:28 is in the latter slides of the presentation.
Got you.
And you'll know how to deal with that because that's one of their favorite. Matter of fact, there's a portion in my slides that say Christianity's best verses to prove Gentile salvation. You guys are going to want to know what they're going to come with. So we're going to examine those.
Con, water.
Whoever was next, you can come off mic.
I'm not sure what was next, but Shalom.
Shalom, King.
I had a question. So it had a reference to the sister's question. It's in Ezekiel 36:19, where she sent the proof that they was scattered amongst the Gentiles, saying, I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries according to their way. So it's kind of like they were behaving like Gentiles, so he scattered them amongst the Gentiles. So would that be another cut to you saying, like, okay, that's why they were called Gentiles, because they were behaving as?
You said you were responding to a sister's question?
No, I like had it because she said about proof that.
Oh, she's looking for extra biblical sources. So
okay.
She's looking for something outside the Bible, which there is proof of that. She just got to just do a simple research.
But would Ezekiel 36:19 be?
Yes. Yeah. Another precept. Yep.
Cool.
All praises. Somebody said, "Will we receive the slides to study?" I mean, you're gonna get the recording to study, which the slides are on the recording. If you request the recording, go ahead. But whoever's next, come off mic.
So is it safe to say that? So when somebody brings up Gentiles in the Old Testament and we bring up Goy, which we do at camp, so we're able to use Gar as well as Goy, so we can say strangers and Gentiles is basically an equivalent in the Old Testament.
Gar and Goy is the same Hebrew word.
Oh, it's the exact same Hebrew word.
Wait, let me see. What is how you say it? The Jewish people, they don't say Gar, they say Goy. We say Goyim. Why?
So it basically derives from the same word, so I can interchange them.
Hold on, real quick. Do you have a? Oh, okay. There we go. So let me see if this pulls up real quick. Let me go to. Okay. So that's Strong's. Let's go to the root. Apparently the same root. Well, you can't. It is. It's two different. Let me pull them both up real quick. Let me pull them both up, and I'm gonna give an example.
The water, Malak.
Because I think I misspoke right there. So let's go to where we were. Boom. Though he be a stranger. There we go. Okay, so let me share my screen. And I'm glad we're doing this Q&A. This is good because this adds to the conversation. So we went to Gar, y'all. We went to Gar, and it means Gentile as well. But just like there's a couple different words for Gentiles in the New Testament, there's a couple different words for Gentiles, strangers in the Old Testament as well. Which one is used mostly is the question. So we went to Leviticus 25 to see our brother being called a stranger, a Gar, right? So it says foreigner, one not of a race, clan, a foreigner, alien, stranger. So we see this being used in reference to heathens as well as Israelites, right? So let's go to, oh, we went to Deuteronomy 28 and 43 to prove that. So I already gave you guys that. So we have this word, which is for stranger. It's used for an Israelite and an actual non-Israelite. Now, they may say, we're show the word goy, which is Strong's H 1471. I should have went to, forgive me, but that's what the Q&A is for. So this word for goy is another word commonly used for non-Israelites. Now, let's see if this is ever applicable to the Israelite people. So it says nation, heathen, Gentiles, people. Very simple. You go to the concordance every time it's used. It's the word nations. This is very simple because certain people say that the Japhites are the only Gentiles because this word in English means Gentiles. But then in the same chapter, it uses this same word in the Hebrew, but translated it as to nations for the Hamites. So everybody's a goy, but it's mostly used to non-Israelites. Now let's go to where it is used for Israelite. Look at this, randomly. Exodus 33 and 13. Exodus 33 and 13. Now, therefore, I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, show me now thy way that I may know thee, that I might find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. It's calling us the goy. So we're called Gar, we're called goy. One thing we're never called, though, is Nakar. Don't ever get that twisted. I hope that helped you out, brother. But that's for all of y'all. If they try to say we're not called goy, just simply go to every time you see this word H 1471 and you see it's applied to non-Israelites and Israelites. We're always called Gentiles and strangers, period. Next person, Salakia. If y'all know the order, then just come off the mic, Salakia, because I can't see everybody.
Salakia, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hold on.
We hear you, brother.
Okay, yeah. So I was gonna ask the account in Nehemiah and Ezra, whenever the men was instructed to put away their wives and their children. Can you use that as kind of like a diaspora as well?
Ah, man, I forgot about that. All praises. Yes. So before the force, before the mutual, before the Greeks forced us, and before we started adopting their ways and becoming Gentiles, there was a forced exile by our own people. The Most High put the spirit on Ezra to get rid of them kids, even though they were still Israelites, but they were speaking their mother's heathen language, and they were following the heathen customs of their mothers. So we wanted a fresh start, a clean start, and we had to get rid of all them kids. That was the Israelite expulsion of our own people. But because that they're still Israelites, they went to these other nations, and I'm sure they procreated, and their seed line is in them other nations, and I'm sure they were following the customs and cultures of those other nations. So that too is a mass, what's the word I want to use? I don't want to say forced, but that's when a lot of our people became Gentiles as well, when they got expelled during the time of Ezra and Nehemiah. Good question. Next person. You can come off mic.
How do we exegete Matthew 28 and 19?
So I'll answer that. That's gonna probably go into salvation. That's probably gonna go into salvation, but I'll answer that. Matthew 28 and 19 says, and go and make disciples out of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. So a Christian is going to go there and say, I guess that could be, that is kind of part of the Gentile course, but I'm trying to go to where the word Gentile is and kind of hone in on that. But it is part of this segment, but it also is a part of salvation as well. So I'll answer that here, and I'll try to make a mental note to bring that out during our salvation portion, soteriology. So when he said, go and make disciples out of all nations, right? Christians say, see, that means go teach the Gentiles. So if that's the case, for one, he's telling us to go to these other nations because we're scattered in all nations. The curses say that, Tobit says that, and then the brother earlier, he brought out Ezekiel 36, right? But how can we go to the New Testament and really prove that? I want the brother who asked this question to this is the primary precept that you go to. This is real apologetics right here. Christians are going to go to Matthew 28:19 and say all nations can be saved because Christ said, go make disciples out of all nations. Your immediate response scripturally is that Christ is telling us to go to all nations because we're scattered in all nations. And here's how we prove that with the curses of Deuteronomy. But what's more important is Acts chapter 11, verse 18 and 19. Acts chapter 11, verse 18 and 19. And what does it say? That the disciples were scattered amongst these nations, teaching the word to nothing but the Jews only. So if they heard that Christ say that, go to these nations and teach Gentiles, why did they take what Christ said and went to these nations and only taught the Jews? They didn't understand that to go to all nations and teach Gentiles. They understood that to go to these nations and teach to Israelites only. And then it says some of them spake to the Grecians. When you look at that word in the Grecians, it's Hellenistes, Greek-speaking Jews. So literally the disciples heard what Christ said and went to these nations and were teaching the word to none but the Israelites only. Then you go to James 1:1. If James didn't, why is James saying my letters only to the 12 tribes scattered abroad if he thought Christ was saying go amongst these nations and teach the Gentiles? And then 1 Peter 1:1. He says to the dispersed, to the diaspora. We already proved that that word is only in reference to exilic Jews. Why is his letters only to Israelites? And then we go to Paul's letters and prove that those are all Israelites too. But when a Christian uses Matthew 28:19, the first thing I do is say we're scattered into all nations, get the precept for that, then show how they took what Christ said and went amongst all nations and were teaching to none but the Jews only. Next person, please. Come off mic as you will.
Yes, I think that's me. Shalom.
Shalom.
So are the Israelites that are in Demona considered Gentiles still, since they're like in the land, but they're not really keeping all the, you know what I mean? Like they still kind of doing their own thing a little bit.
Well, no, they wouldn't be considered Gentiles because an Israelite Gentile is an Israelite who knows they're an Israelite, but they live outside of Israel, or an Israelite that has totally forgot their identity and nationality. Our brothers and sisters in Demona, they're neither of those. They're living in the land and they know they're Israelites. So they wouldn't be considered Gentiles.
Okay.
They wouldn't be considered Israelite foreigners. Are they going to hell off? Yes, but they're not Israelite foreigners.
Okay, so I'll go on. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, on Matthew 13, starting on verse 24 about the wheat and the weeds. Can God not specify between those two, or was it necessary for the wheat and the weeds to actually be waited to that time period for him to be able to identify which one they were?
I'm kind of confused on what your question has to do with the Gentiles, or is this just off topic? If it is, that's fine.
No, what the weeds will be the Gentiles that are non-Jews, and the wheat will be Jews. So I'm trying to make sense on the logic where he's trying to specify because he couldn't dictate who they are until the harvest came.
No, it's not that he couldn't dictate anything. How is God not going to know who's an actual Gentile and who's not? He was telling
That's what I'm
us,
saying.
yeah, he was telling us that we can't know who a tare is from the wheat as far as looks go, because you have Bob Marley, he's a chocolate covered Edomite. Then you have Drake's son, who looks like a cracker but is an Israelite. So we won't be able to tell by physicality who's an Israelite or not. The best thing we could do is 1 John 4, 1-2, is try the spirit by the spirit. Romans 8 and 16, does it resonate? That's the best we can do. Even then, that's not an absolute.
Okay, I thought the question was being referenced to the angel wasn't able to do so. You're saying it's actually men.
Well, no, let's just get the account. Let's get the account. Okay, here's also for the service of the householder. Yeah, so okay, right. So that's where you're confused at. But this is a good question. That's a very good question. So he's asking who's not able to tell. Is it the angels or is it us? We are the servants. The reapers are the angels. You get what I'm saying? So Matthew 13:27. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in the field? From whence then hath it tares? So we are not the reapers. The angels are the reapers. We are the servants of the householder, and the householder is Hamashiach Yahushua. You get it?
Yeah, so the angel was asking God that question. So why would God respond that way?
No, listen. We are the servants. The angels are the reapers. The servants are asking the questions.
Oh, the servant was asking the questions.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
All praises. My brother Fritz, you finally got in here.
Yes, sir.
All praises. You know, Satan, the enemy, was messing with people's power. Power went out in different locations. Brothers' phones wasn't having service. Brothers the link wasn't appearing, or Satan was just trying to stop y'all from getting this. But next person, go ahead and come off the mic.
Shalom a lot.
Shalom.
And my question, you kind of cleared up one of them. It's in Second Ezra. Both of them was though. I wanted to know who you thought, in chapter 1, verse 24, where he says, "What shall I do unto you, O Jacob? You, O Yehuda, would not obey me. I will turn me to the other nations, and unto those will I give my name, that they might guard my statutes." And from what you were saying, and from what I've seen, I think the original, which no longer exists, and the Greek, which no longer exists, according to just the internet, other nations there possibly would be the H1471, the Goy, and he's doing that because they're not obeying. And then later on in 2, when Ezra goes to Israel and they set him away, they don't listen to him. He says, "And therefore I say unto you, heathen, that hear and understand, look for your shepherd, he shall give you everlasting rest." But I think I have an understanding there that he might just be mad and calling them heathens, even though they're Israelites. But still, in the first chapter, I was wondering who you think the other nations is, who's he going to give his name to?
Great question. Great question. So Christians should believe in the Apocrypha. because if they did, they would have a real attempt body blow with that scripture in Ezra's. That's second Ezra chapter 1, right?
Yeah, correct. But let me also make this side note right quick that I also found out from my study today. That for some reason it is in the 1611, but in the Ethiopian Bible and another old copy that I found from 1876, the first chapter is not in there. It starts at the second chapter.
Yeah, well, I don't go with the, you talking about the Ge'ez?
Yeah, the Ge'ez.
Yeah, I don't really deal with that, but it's very simple when you just keep reading in Ezra. It's just like how God promised to destroy the nation of Israel and make a new, he didn't promise, I'm sorry, he threatened to destroy the nation of Israel and make a new one. And then what did Moses say? He said, Lord, please don't do this, man, you know, have some mercy on us. So in that same way, he's doing that with Ezra. He's like, I'm so sick of these Israelites. I want to take the kingdom and give it to the actual heathen. He did say that. That was said. But read chapter 8. In chapter 8, God's like, Ezra, what do you want me to do, man? I love you. And Ezra said, don't take the kingdom and give it to the heathen, like you said in chapter 1. And you know what the Lord said? Your wish is my command. I'm going to grant what you asked for. So in chapter 1, he's so sick of Israelites, he threatened to give the kingdom to actual heathens because he was sick of us. And he did the same thing with Moses, but he didn't do it. It was just kind of like a threat to get your stuff together.
All right, the Water King.
No problem. Next person.
Shalom, Dick. My question to you, is there a verse you could point out to class? You said we was taking customs of the Gentiles. Were we marrying Greek women during that time as well? And also was the Greeks marrying Israelite women during that time?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that, because every captivity or every exile, a remnant of us ends up mixing with the people of that land. Can I think of a scripture off the top of the head? Not right now. My mind is scrambling, but oh yeah. So when you deal with the Hasmonean dynasty, this is history. This is not in the Bible. You remember how King Herod, they were saying that they were Jews, the Herodian dynasty? You know why they were saying that they were Jews? So the Herodian dynasty, if y'all don't know, the Herodian dynasty, King Herod, who was over us, his whole family, they were saying they were Jews. Do you know why they were saying that?
Because he married an Israelite woman?
Because his great-great-great-great-grandfather married a Levitical woman, a Levite woman from the Hasmonean dynasty. So yes, our women was, you know, giving that holy womb to them Greek Edomite devils, and we was doing the same. So yes, that's one example. I'm sure there's more if you read the book of Maccabees.
The water.
What's wrong?
Hey, what about Acts 24 and 24? Is that heathen marrying an Israelite woman? Acts 24 and 24? Felix in White Jerusalem?
No, I don't think Felix is a Israelite.
Right. When he he's to be a heathen, and it says which was a Jewish. His wife was a Jewish woman. What Jewes?
Hold on, let me get that right. Acts 24.
Just to show you that we married the other nation.
Well, he's specifically speaking of us intermarrying with the Greeks.
Oh, gotcha. My bad. Yep.
No, you good. But I think you might be confused just a little bit. 24 and what?
And 24.
24 and 24. Yeah, it doesn't say Felix was a Jew. Acts 24 and 24. And after certain days, when Felix came and his wife Drusilla, which was a Jewess. So the Bible says that Drusilla was a Jewess. Do you know who Drusilla is, brother?
No, that one I don't know who that is.
You agree that you are who your father is, right?
Huh.
So Drusilla was an Edomite. Why
Oh,
are
okay.
they calling her? Why are they calling her a Jew though?
I believe. Well, I believe.
Go ahead, my bad.
No, if they call her a Jew, I was thinking that she was Jewish, like took on the custom and practices of.
See, and it's so crazy, and we probably have to do a whole different class on this. I'll stay over for a couple more minutes. But there was a time in history where the heathens try to call themselves a Jew if they just lived in Israel. They weren't ethnic Jews, and they weren't even converting to our law, statutes, and commandments. Drusilla's father was King Agrippa. So she was an Edomite. But why is it calling her a Jew? And then she was a whore. She was an adulterous whore. So she wasn't keeping the commandments. I could see if she converted to our ways and they called her a Jew, but she was a whore. And the Bible trying to say that, not the Bible trying to say, but Luke's account is saying that she was trying to identify as a Jew because she may have lived amongst Jerusalem. That is what you call insanity. That is what you call insanity. That woman was an adulterous, wicked whore who wasn't even following the customs for her to be even called a Jew, nor was she a Jew ethnically, nor was her mom an Israelite. Her mom and dad were Edomites. So I just wanted to give you some history on that. Next person.
Yeah, the Greeks during the time of the Apocrypha, are those Edomites or are those actual Japhetic?
Well, King Alexander the Great, they still got archaeology of him. Would he be a so-called white man? That's a question.
Yeah.
So that's your answer. The Greeks during the time of Alexander the Great, those were Edomites. Where did the original dark melanated Japhite Greek people go? They got pushed out with Nebuchadnezzar, and the Greeks pushed them out. So around 350 to 370 BC, you see these Edomites who got kicked out of their land. They're like, we need somewhere to stay. They go over and assume the geographical locale of the Greeks and take their customs and culture. All that Greek mythology, Homer, Zeus, all that Greek, Aristotle, all that Greek mythology, that was the Black Greeks. I don't want to say Black Greeks because they're not our people, the melanated Greeks who created that Greek mythology. All right, I'll take one last question. If there is one. If not, then I will reconvene with you guys on Monday. We'll either pick up with the Gentiles or we're going to do another topic. Everybody has my number personally. Hit me if it's important, please.
D,
go ahead, brother.
just real quick, are you going to continue Monday? Are you going to jump to another topic? Because were you going to still get into Acts 15, Gentiles or Israelites? Were you going to continue there? Just ask.
Yeah, so I told you I got about 100 slides on the Gentiles. This may take 3 or 4 classes, but it's good. It's good. It's extensive. So like I said, by Sunday night, I'll know if we're going to pick up on the Gentiles or we're going to start a new topic. If we don't pick up on the Gentiles, we will pick back up on it Thursday. So like I said, either we're going to do one topic Monday and another topic Thursday, or I'm going to just try to do one topic until we're done. And then the other half of the month, we'll do the other topic. I'm not sure yet. I'm more than likely going to start a new topic Monday, and then we're going to pick back up on Acts 15 on Thursday, more than likely. But y'all are not getting out of this course until we're done with every slide. Trust me, I got you.
They got 100 slides.
100 round clip, brother. All right, y'all. Well, look, I'm going to end this by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, and we do so by Shema Mashiach Yahushai. Love y'all. Until next time, Shalom.
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 Shalom, fam.
Shalom.